Hello, and welcome to another Tristan Has Thoughts Destiny 2 discussion. Today I want to talk about my thoughts on why some people need to quit Destiny 2. Recently I was recommended a video on why Bungie doesn't care about Destiny anymore, and I decided to give it a watch. I personally don't agree with this point, but I thought it would be nice to see the perspective from a different side. After watching the video, all I could think was, wow, this person really wants Destiny 2 to be something it isn't. I think it's completely fine to yearn for parts of Destiny to change and evolve, but if you are asking for a completely different game, perhaps Destiny 2 is no longer for you. I understand it can be hard to come to this conclusion, as if you are a long-standing fan of the franchise, realizing you need to step away is not easy. This year I had to decide whether or not Destiny was a game I wanted to continue to invest in, and ultimately I came to the realization I enjoy this game enough to want to see it grow and evolve. This doesn't mean I want to see it become something it isn't though. This video may come off as a bit of a rant, as I often see many people in the community chastise the current state of the game and compare it to games it doesn't even share an ounce of similarity with. The first part of this video goes over the overly misinterpreted GCX presentation. The Destiny community has treated this presentation like a bit of a holy grail. A true sign Bungie no longer cares and only wants to feed us store-bought dog food rather than the exquisite caviar we had gotten in the past. I do hope that last part came off as sarcasm. I think for a long time anyone with two brain cells to rub together has realized Destiny has shifted into a more stable, consistent seasonal system. Most of the information in the GCX presentation doesn't even come as a surprise to me. Seasons are meant to fill the gaps between larger expansions. Seasons aren't meant to revolutionize the game or change it in some meaningful way, but are there to give me something new to do once every few months. Large changes are generally now reserved for expansions. Armor 2.0, Champions with Shadowkeep, Stasis with Beyond Light, Legendary Campaign 3.0 with Witch Queen. You get the picture. And I personally have no issue with this. Expansions are the pieces of content that bring the most players and the most eyes to the game, so it makes perfect sense to save your most worked on project for this time. I understand it sucks to hear that a company doesn't want to over-deliver, but you want to know why they said that? Players like these spend all day comparing current Destiny 2 to the past. Forsaken's annual pass was a great year for Destiny. It was also the worst thing to happen to Destiny 2. Destiny players have forgotten that Black Armory and Opulence was not God's gift to the Destiny community, and they both had their own issues. They are so blinded by the past, they can't even acknowledge fantastic seasons. I'm fairly certain they called Season of Dawn just okay, meanwhile it did most of its content better than Black Armory. We crafted a beast where Bungie's one example of over-delivery has haunted them for years, and it's a shadow that they cannot shake. Despite us having many fantastic seasons, players like these will never be happy. I dare say it's impossible for them to be. Destiny 2 is not perfect. I will never argue that Destiny 2 is a perfect game that has no issues and no spaces to evolve. But comparing Destiny to Elden Ring? Skyrim? That to me is just absurd. How do we even do this without realizing how insane this sounds? First off, they are fundamentally different games. Secondly, do you expect Bungie to suddenly shift from one yearly expansion in 4 seasons to releasing a piece of content once every 3 years? We do realize that would quite literally kill the game. Or is this what they actually want? I also saw a lot of talk around modding and how Bungie should let us create mods for the game. When has Destiny ever been a moddable game? When was modding being in Destiny ever an expectation? I think talking about how Bungie no longer cares and then listing off 100 unreasonable goals shows more that you don't care. You are willing to push these lofty, unreasonable goals onto the game and development team with little thought for the validity of these statements. I have no issue with fair criticism. Asking for Bungie to add modding to the game is not one of these. This is a bit off topic, but the video basically ends with the classic quote, "A delayed game is eventually good, but a rush game is bad forever" by Miyamoto. The funny thing here is this quote is just straight wrong. This was essentially never said by Miyamoto and was what we could assume a mistranslation from an article where he was talking about something completely different. Miyamoto was talking about how in the 90s a lot of fanfare was developing around games, and with the shift to 3D modeling, developers could not keep the same time frame for releases. It was meant to help temper the expectations of consumers in an era where production of video games was taking exponentially longer. This is quite off topic, but I found it funny that a video I generally did not agree with used a quote that has been misread and misused for years in the gaming community. I think I've harped a bit too much on the video. I don't have any issue with the person who made it or the fact that they have a differing opinion from me. What I take issue with is they clearly don't want to play Destiny. If they truly wanted to play Destiny, they would not try to push forth unreasonable goals for the game or engage in this mindless rehashing of the GCX presentation. I think a lot of people need to come to the realization that Destiny has evolved into something they just don't enjoy as much. It's a shame, and I can understand the frustration of not enjoying a beloved game, but I think Destiny players are getting their first taste of aging with a game. A lot of Destiny players were in their early teens when Destiny 1 first launched, and now 7 years later are aging into their mid-20s. Games change, and so do people. It's inevitable. You either need to try and enjoy the game in its current state and engage in fair, constructive discussions, or lay down your hat and move on to greener pastures. Let me know your thoughts below. Be sure to keep it respectful in the comment section, and I will respond to any comments I see. As usual, if you enjoy this kind of discussion content, be sure to subscribe as I upload daily, and remember, for each like this video gets, a capybara gets a big scritch.